Paramahansa Yogananda's parent and early life. The characteristic features of an Indian culture have long been a search for ultimate varieties and the concomitant disciple guru relationship. My own path led to a Christ like sage. His beautiful life was chiseled for the ages. He was one of the great masters who are India's truest wealth, emerging in every generation. They have bulwarked their land against the fate of ancient Egypt and Babylonia. I find my earliest memories covering the anachronistic features of a previous incarnation. Clear recollections came to me of a distant life in which I had been a yogi amid the Himalayan snows. These glimpses of the past, by some dimensionless link, also afforded me a glimpse of the future. I still remember the helpless humiliations of infancy. I was resentfully conscious of being unable to walk and to express myself freely. Prayerful surge arose within me as I realized my bodily impotence. My strong emotional life was mentally expressed in words of many languages. Amid the inward confusions of tongues, I gradually became accustomed to hearing the Bengali syllables of my people. The beguiling scope of an infant's mind, adultly considered to be limited to toys and toes, psychological ferment, and my unresponsive body brought me to many obstinate crying spells. I recall general family bewilderment at my distress. Happier memories too crowd in on me. My mother's caresses and my first attempts at lisping face and toddling step. These early trumples usually forgotten quickly are yet a natural basis of self-confidence. My far-reaching memories are not unique. Many yogis are known to have retained their self-consciousness without interruption by the dramatic transition to and from life and death. If man be solely a body, it loses its indeed, ends his identity. But if profits down the millennium, speaky with truth, man is essentially a soul, incorporeal and omnipresent. Although odd, clear memories of infancy are not extremely rare. During travels in numerous lands, I have heard very early recollections from the lips of veracious men and women. I was born on January 5th, 1893 in Gorakhpur in the northeastern India near the Himalayan mountains. There, my first 8 years were passed. We were 8 children, 4 boys and 4 girls. I, Mukunda Lal Ghosh, was the second son and the fourth child. Father and mother were Bengalis of the Kshatriya caste. Both were blessed with the saintly nature. Their mutual love, tranquil and dignified, never expressed itself frivolously. A perfect parental harmony was a calm center for the revoking template of 8 young lives. Father Bhagpati Charan Ghosh was kind, grave, at times stern. Loving him dearly, we children yet observed a certain revolution distance. An outstanding mathematician and logician, he was guided principally by his intellect. But mother was a queen of hearts and taught us only through love. After her death, father displayed more of his inner tenderness. I noticed then that his gaze often seemed to be metamorphosed into my mother's gaze. In mother's presence, we children made an early bittersweet acquaintance with the scriptures. Mother would resourcefully summon from the Mahabharata and the Ramayana suitable tales to meet the exigencies of discipline. On these occasions, chastisement and instruction went hand in hand. As a gesture of respect for father, in afternoon, mother would dress us up, all children carefully, to welcome him home from the office. He held a position similar to that of vice president in one of India's large companies, Bengal Nagpur Railway. His work involved traveling. Our family lived in several cities during my childhood. Mother held an open hand toward the needy. Father also kindly disposed. But his respect for law and order extended to the budget. One fortnight, mother spent in feeding the poor more than father's monthly income. Father said, "All I ask, please, is that you keep your charities within a reasonable limit." Even a gentle rebuke from her husband was grievous to mother. Not hindering to the children at any disagreement, she ordered a hackney carriage. "Goodbye, I am going away to my mother's home." Ancient ultimatum. We broke into astounded lamentations. Our maternal uncle arrived opportunely. He whispered to father some sage counsel, garnered to no doubt from the ages. After father had made a few conciliatory remarks, mother happily dismissed the cab. Thus ended the only trouble I ever noticed between my parents. But I recall a characteristic discussion. "Please give me 10 rupees for a hapless woman who had just arrived at the home." Mother's smile had its own persuasion. "Why 10 rupees? One is enough." Father added a justification. "When my father and grandparents died suddenly, I had my first experience of poverty. My only breakfast before walking miles to my school was a small banana. Later, at the university, I was in such a need that I applied to a wealthy judge for an aid of 1 rupee per month. He declined, remarking that even a rupee is important. How bitterly you recall the denial of that rupee. Mother's heart had an instant logic. Do you want this woman also to remember painfully your refusal of 10 rupees, which she needs urgently? You win." With the immemorial gesture of vanquished husband opened his wallet. "Here is a 10 rupee note. Give it to her with my goodwill." Father tended first to say no to any new proposal. His attitude toward the stranger who so readily had won mother's sympathy was an example to his customary caution. An aversion to instant acceptance is really only honoring the principle of due reflection. I always found father reasonable and evenly balanced in his judgment. If one could bluster up my numerous requests with one or two good arguments, he would inevitably put within my reach the conveyed goal, whether a vacation trip or a new motorcycle. Father was a strict disciplinarian to his children in their early years, but his attitude toward himself was truly spontaneous. He never visited the theater, for instance, but sought his recreation in various spiritual practices and in reading the Bhagavad Gita. Shunning all luxurious, he would cling to one old pair of shoes until they were useless. His sons bought automobiles after they came into popular use, but father was content with the trolley car for his daily ride to the office. Father was not interested in the accumulation of money for the sake of power. On one occasion, after he had organized the Calcutta Urban Bank, he refused to benefit himself by holding any of its shares. He had simply wished to perform a civic duty in his spare time. Several years after, father had retired on a pension. An accountant from England came to India to examine the books of Bengal Nagpur Railway. The amazed investigator discovered that father had never applied for overdue bonuses. He did the work of 3 men. The accountant told the company, he has rupees of 125 owing to him as a back compensation. The treasurer sent father a check for that amount. My parents thought so little about the matter that he forgot to mention it to the family. Much later, he was questioned by my youngest brother, Vishnu, who had noticed the large amount deposit on a bank statement. Why be elated by material profit? Father replied, the one who pursues a goal of even-mindedness is neither jubilant with gain nor depressed by loss. He knows that man arrives penniless in this world and departs without a single rupee.